Hi, I'm Mary, and this is my e-poem walkthrough. I chose to exit the normal realm of poetry and go for a, shall we say, celebrity edition. You may know King Henry VIII as the Playboy King of England for his 6 wives. His marriage to Anne Boleyn, perhaps the most famous of these wives, was the reason for his decision to separate from the Catholic Church and ultimately found the Church of England. Sounds like a pretty rock star-esque life, right? When I look at the poem he wrote, though some saith that youth ruleth me, I understood it to be a rebellion against this playboy image. He took the crown at 18, and his perceived carelessness with his marriages created this image of this young, spoiled, petulant king. In the poem, he affirms that despite people claiming this, he has never abandoned his duty and his own sense of self. So how does this connect to the modern indie band, the 1975? When I first read King Henry VIII's poem, I immediately thought of eclectic frontman Matty Healy. As a self-proclaimed recovering alcoholic and drug addict, Matty and his band are no strangers to being perceived as young, careless, spoiled, and petulant. This obviously fits into a larger cultural perception of musicians and celebrities in general, and I wanted to explore that through my interpretation of "Though some saith that youth ruleth me." Let's hop into the video, shall we? But before we begin, I want to make note of the music selection that I chose. The song, Overdone by the Bombay Bicycle Club, fits into this deconstructed rock star narrative that I'm going for, particularly with the lyrics, I feel it come, I'm overdone, and tell me was it enough when we were first in love to plant the seed and just leave. Without further ado, the video. Throughout the video, I will put a strong emphasis on these juxtaposing images. The striking of the match will feed into later candle imagery, and I'll address the significance of that later on. I wanted to start the video in an organic place, and the childhood and creation of passion, in this case music, seem like a good jumping off point. It provides background, and we see the disapproving parents and the aimless wandering of childhood, only remedied by when the boy is playing the guitar. Take a look. Then we jump to the feature, the crowds, the band, the beginning of celebrity. The boy, much older now, has achieved his childhood dreams, but I chose the performance footage carefully, ensuring that there was a certain weariness in his face and this kind of feeling of being overdone, even though you're still in the very beginning of your life. And we see the fans, just the craziness of it all, and it's a lot to take in. It's very visually stimulating. And we just see that he's just done. So I introduced the road and highway imagery at this point, which will kind of be a recurring theme throughout the video, usually in the background of the canvas with video overlaid as such. It's a representation of monotony, almost this aimless movement that carries us through the video. While there is this constant flickering imagery on the side panel, it's constantly changing and oscillating between current day imagery and childhood interludes. The childhood footage is an expansive open space with lots of movement as the boy is on a bicycle, which contrasts the closed spaces featured in the footage of the current day. There is this continual pensive quality towards the current day footage, perhaps prompted by the monotony of the highway footage as seen, which kind of creates a natural train of thought back to this liberated childhood. So this leads into a performance sequence, which continues to hold juxtaposition. I utilize actual concert footage in the top left, which is the product of a very product space, and inserted more private band moments in the bottom right. This creates a tension between the duality of the band's life. And I love this part. I hurt no man, I do no wrong. And then the candle comes back. Connecting back to the striking of the match at the beginning of the video, I wanted to symbolize youth and creation, yet the toll that can have, as evidenced by the worse for wear candle that's rapidly burning down. When we cut back to more concert footage, we see the physical manifestation of the candle, even if it's even a little bit more evident than it was before. The overlay of the highway footage over this concert is meant to symbolize the grating presence of this constant monotonous travel that is, obviously a big part of touring, performing, and being in a band. The performance itself, the imagery is grainy, and the performance, it's a little sloppy, and the brief interlude into the more personal space which will come in a second here, shows this really grating effect that this is kind of having. And I just think the money imagery is really interesting too, because a lot of the times the money kind of does start to control things. I also just want to take a second to say that I'm really happy with the way that the music lined up with the on-screen imagery. When you watch the video without my commentary on top of it, you can kind of see the rise and fall of this pop star through the music, and it worked out really well. I'm really excited about it. So now we're kind of switching back to highway footage opposite the band drinking from a liquor bottle with some groupies. There's an exhaustion in this that I think really plays up the deconstruction of identity and this hopelessness against this monotony of traveling. Maddie certainly looks a little worse for wear in the background here, and I think it's definitely an interesting evolution from the beginning of the video and how this childhood dream of pursuing music was never imagined to be so degrading. Despite this, the street footage continues to carry us through the video and keeps us moving forward. See, he just looks really tired and sad. And we just kind of see this just excess and this just tiredness here. I was really excited about this footage. It's from the band's newest music video, The Sound, and I think it really epitomizes the position I was angling for when I found King Henry's poem, the feeling of being trapped by those who saith that youth ruleth me, and pass judgment on this. So we're back to the highway, and I definitely said this would be a reoccurring theme. And then we're going to have an overlay of Maddie falling down from an elevated surface. This, along with the instrumental interlude of the music, which I found to be rather angsty, is, the total breakdown. So this is just going to play out, and we're going to cut back in a second to this final candle imagery that's kind of going to just really manifest this breakdown. The candle is almost burnt out, but we still see Maddie meeting fans and trying to hold it together and disprove the breakdown. But there's still exhaustion, obviously, in his face and his actions, and the video is just very dark, and it just kind of shows this darkness. So then we cut back to this final childhood flashback. We just saw the candle go out, and we see the boy in the rearview mirror, and here he is. So this is the image of the youth that kind of ruled the fate of Maddie. And then we fade to black to just kind of show that it just kind of ends. There's no real resolution here. So that's my video. I hope you enjoyed it.